So it's been a few days since the Trudeau blackface stories first dropped, and my jaw is still hitting the floor from the sheer magnitude of the whole thing. So we first learned when the story first broke that there was one case of Justin Trudeau wearing blackface at this fundraiser back in 2001, and you think, ooh, that's kind of rough. That's not something you want to be caught doing. Now, I am no fan of those sort of gotcha moments where a person did one thing many years ago and we say their life should be ruined for it. I wrote a column to that effect just the other week. I gave some commentary to that effect because there were all these stories brewing about candidates, a lot of conservative candidates, a couple liberal, a couple green candidates who had said these untoward things a number of years ago, sometimes when they were teenagers on social media, one remark, maybe two remarks. And I said, look, I don't care what party it is. I don't care who it is. I don't want to play this game because I think people are allowed to be teenagers and say some stupid remark, and that doesn't mean their life should be ruined. But I put a caveat in that column. I put a line where I said, but if we see we've got a repeat offender doing stuff more recently that is actually quite serious, okay, maybe we do have a problem on our hands. And look at where we sit with Justin Trudeau now. It is not just one incident, one instance of blackface, but at least three. And judging by the fact that he refuses to answer follow-up questions, and my favorite, one reporter said, can you round to the nearest 5? How many you've done? And he couldn't answer that question. I mean, people are really grilling him on it, suggesting that there's quite a few more. And the current time frame takes us from the first one in 1994 to the last one in 2001. This is pretty much throughout his 20s. He did it multiple times, and he didn't just do a really sort of light slapdash job, as if he was kind of drunk and he was just dumb and made the really quick decision, oh, why don't I go as blackface and just quickly put something on. I mean, you look at these pictures and the knees are covered in one of the videos and the other ones, the hands are covered and the full ears and neck and really getting in the ear folds. He put time into this. Planning, commitment, effort. He clearly went shopping for the products in advance to make sure that he was going to do this thing, right, as if he actually thought there was good blackface and I want to be the best blackface performer out there tonight. I mean, yikes. And I'm not in for the gotcha moment. I'm not in for ruining people's careers, but we are in very different territory. We are in extremely different terrain here. I mean, have we ever, I'm racking my brains here to say, have we ever seen an incident where there's been something come out on a candidate that has been as bad as this? I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a story from several decades ago that a candidate was actually found to be a convicted murderer and nobody knew. Killing a person is a pretty bad thing. I can't think of an example of that, though. I just can't think of it. And it's funny, people are saying, well, now they're going to get even nastier on Andrew Scheer. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to find that some conservative candidate, 6 years ago said, oh, I don't like this and that about this religion. Okay, well, whatever, maybe that's not ideal. But it's not being a repeat offender throughout your 20s of having a history of doing blackface. And these people who are coming forward to defend the Prime Minister, or at least rationalize it and downplay it, they're saying, well, it's not, back then, we didn't know what we know now.
It was something that I didn't think was racist at the time.
But what are you talking about? I was a kid in the 90s, and I'm 35 now. In 1992, Aladdin came out, and I remember people really liked Aladdin. It was really popular with the kids, and I remember some little girls would dress up as Jasmine, the main female character in it, and the kit, it came with like this dress like Jasmine wore, and that was it. And then you wore the dress, and if you were a blonde girl with very pale white skin, you'd say, I'm Jasmine. There was no face makeup that came with it. I mean, that wasn't a thing that people did in the 90s, and I'm talking about children. I remember those Halloweens. I do not remember seeing anybody doing blackface around the time Aladdin came out, even though a lot of kids were dressed as Aladdin and Jafar, at least in the costumes, not the blackface. And yet here's Trudeau in his 20s doing this when kids knew not to do it. It's really quite something to watch people try and excuse this, try and apologize for it. I mean, this is going beyond hypocrisy. This is someone who has done something that we all knew years before he did it was wrong. And yet now, he expects to get away with it.